Hello and welcome to another video on Star Wars Battlefront 2. I recently discovered that Battlefront 2 was released on Epic Games for free. EA's last-ditch attempt to make some money out of this dead horse, despite huge demand for updates. Sadly, I play on console, so I won't be able to reap the benefits of this huge surge of innocent children, and a sizable ego boost to anyone who's an ounce of skill in this game. Pretty sure you guys in PC are having loads of fun with all your mods and, a live community. With the new influx of players, that means a lot of people are confused as to why they can't speed build and what a lightsaber is. And I'm here with the information needed to get loads of views, help those in need. And I'm doing a little bit of research. I've found the most common search term for Battlefront 2 tutorials is how to play Darth Maul. I don't know why, but here we are, and I hope my hours of experience in this game will finally come into good use as I dispense my knowledge to create my personal masterclass on how to play Darth Maul. This video will be split into 5 sections: overview, abilities, star cards, leveling up, and combos or counters. Let's get into it. The roles Maul mainly specialises in is speed, damage, and controlling his surroundings. He's the perfect glass cannon. His abilities should be used to reach or damage faraway enemies or to get out of sticky situations. He's got relatively average health, sitting at a solid 700 HP. He enjoys the high end of the offensive stamina, being able to put pressure on opponents without breaking a sweat at a solid 14 swings, but is lacking in defense, with only 10 lightsaber deflections and a pathetic 18 blaster deflections. For comparison, most lightsaber heroes can deflect around 30 bullets. He can only deflect 18. One thing is clear: you cannot let the enemy shoot you for too long. Keep moving and keep on the offensive. He does an ordinary 120 damage per hit and can do 240 damage a second, so nothing particularly special there. He has a stamina regen delay of 2 seconds, and from these stats alone, you can see that Maul players should never be on the defensive, relying on their abilities to keep in control of his enemies and stay out of danger. Maul has some of the fastest ability cooldowns in the game, especially when paired with the correct star cards. This plays into his aggressive playstyle, allowing him to press the attack more often than other heroes could. He has enough offensive stamina, but by the time it runs out, his cooldowns have probably already finished for him to use his abilities again. And here is just the best way to do that. Maul's first ability, Furious Throw, is exactly how it sounds. He throws his lightsaber horizontally, damaging all enemies in front of him, with the possibility to hit twice on the way back. It has a range of 20 meters and an incredible recharge of 8 seconds. Due to its ability to hit on the way back, it's the perfect tool to get behind your enemy's defense with a bit of precision and prevent regen. Most heroes in the game have a regen delay of 5 seconds, so as long as you're hitting them with your lightsaber and you've practiced your throw, the enemy should have no opportunity to take a break from the combined force of your offensive stamina and ability cooldown, unable to regenerate health. Regularly when you hit an enemy with your lightsaber, they enter a short stun where they cannot block or use abilities. The trick is this also counts when you hit enemies with your lightsaber throw. So if an enemy thinks they are safe, you can throw your lightsaber behind them and stun them on the way back. With the correct timing, you can use your force choke ability to throw them away and get through their block. This is extremely useful for cheeky ledge kills when the enemy thinks you're safe. However, you must be careful considering you just threw your only weapon and are now defenseless. So here's how not to die for dummies. Don't throw your lightsaber to hit the level 12 Luke when the max level Anakin is stood 2 feet in front of you, ready to annihilate your hopes and dreams of living more than 5 seconds more. That's it. Don't be dumb. Have you ever wanted to feel powerful? Have you ever wanted to see your enemies fly off into the sunset like a goat who just learnt rocket science? Well, I introduce to you Chokehold. Being the big baddies they are, all the other Darkside heroes like to get close and personal, but Maul is the only villain that has the ability to push away his enemies. And boy oh boy does he do it well. When paired with the power of star cards and the special technique you learned earlier, you should have no problem chucking your foes into the garbage bin they belong. Not being particularly good at damaging opponents, this ability does only do 77 damage, and has a higher than normal cooldown of 18 seconds. Try to save this ability for when opponents can be ledge killed, as otherwise it's pretty useless. You might as well just hit your enemy normally. Or, even worse, you could throw a gunner away. You know, the heroes who specialise in ranged combat and want you to be far away from them. Don't throw gunners unless they're going to fall off a ledge, or you'll take unnecessary damage, and Maul's feeble defensive stamina against blaster heroes will not hold up if you try to walk towards them. Another reason not to use this ability for anything other than special occasions is that unlike other force abilities that leave heroes out of block and vulnerable for less than a second, you know, Luke's push and Kylo's pull, Chokehold leaves you out in the open for about 2 seconds. This might not seem like a long time, but consider most heroes do about 250 damage per second. More if they're hitting your back, and they'll likely get an extra hit in if you have to turn to face them. If you're on anything other than full health, you're gonna die. So once again, don't use this ability if the enemy's in your face, unless you think you can get the ledge kill. Maul's final ability is Spin Attack. This ability probably affects Maul's playstyle the most in aiding him to close the distance to enemies and make a hasty retreat if he comes under heavy fire. It does the most damage of his abilities, sitting at 100 health points, effectively acting as a normal lightsaber hit except you leap 15 meters into your enemy's face. The best part is that while lunging forward, Maul automatically deflects incoming blaster fire, making it the perfect ability to push against campy blaster heroes. Best of all, its recharge cooldown is a tiny 5 seconds, and you get 2! You can use them at the same time to cover massive distances, and then use them again 5 seconds later to maneuver around your enemies. This makes Maul a lethal sidekick, given you had a brute force hero like Vader or Dooku pushing down the enemy straight ahead, while Maul constantly dodges behind or around the enemy, making it impossible for them to defend from both heroes. The tank takes all the damage from the head-on assault, and Maul gets away with a free kill or assist. The only major downside to this ability is that it leaves you vulnerable to force abilities and can be easily parried by someone who knows how to, suddenly changing your easy way to outpace your opponent to an easy way for your opponent to get free hits on you. If you think your opponent is skilled in parrying, then try to be unpredictable so they struggle to get the timing correct. All 3 of his abilities can be used to survive and adapt on his own, but become more potent when Maul has a powerful ally. He can continually assist by harassing the enemy from the sides, preventing regen or getting a sneaky ledge kill, without taking too much punishment in return. No, I'm not endorsing 2v1s or ganking, but in the heat of a team fight, these skills can be very useful to single out and eliminate opponents one at a time. The best way to level up heroes is in co-op, because all your opponents in AI are AI, and you still get the same amount of XP as you would for killing a real player. Additionally, there are 4 hero slots rather than 2, so you are guaranteed to be able to play as a hero. I've found that the best map to level up Maul on is Kessel, and we have a full video dedicated to leveling up heroes in the Empire as fast as possible. If you are confused why Maul's in the Empire, as well as the Separatist, watch the Clone Wars and Rebel TV show. If you want more in-depth guides on what to do on this specific map to level up Maul, then click the link and check it out. Still with us? Okay, let's get into star cards. Overall, the star cards I recommend for Maul differ very little between game modes. The two I highly recommend you use are Lightsaber Defense and Fool Me Once. Being the speed freak you are, you'll likely be the first player to get to the enemy gunners. So taking 16% less damage from blaster fire helps in all modes, especially considering Maul's lower defensive stamina for blocking blaster bolts. Additionally, Fool Me Once allows you even more control than before, with 10% faster ability cooldowns, as if it wasn't fast enough already. The cards tend to just help in general, and I think they should always be used. The third card slot is less important, and though I have my recommendations, this slot is mostly left open to whichever cards you prefer, in whichever situations you think they would benefit you the most. Plan on disrupting enemy heroes' block with your lightsaber throw? Make it harder to avoid with accelerated throw. On Bespin, Kamino or Kashyyyk, use forceful thrust to literally double the distance your enemies are thrown with your ability. Plan on taking on hordes of AI? Use Savage and get your spin attack ability faster by hitting multiple enemies. You get the point. This flexibility makes Maul one of the most adaptable heroes in the game, no matter which game mode. Maul synergizes well with Darth Vader and Count Dooku, as mentioned earlier. I would not recommend using Maul to defend a gunner, as his low defensive stamina and aggressive, constantly move about playstyle is inadequate to defend a blaster hero. Your teammate will probably feel abandoned as you spin off away from them, so unless they can fend for themselves, avoid using a gunner with Maul. Maul is not really countered or shut down by any heroes. As long as you try to be hit as little as possible, you can take on most heroes. But Maul's offensive nature can mean, unless you play unpredictably, you'll be vulnerable to parrying and turtle shell characters like Obi-Wan and Rey. Additionally, Chewbacca can present a major problem for many Maul players, as his main weapon goes through block, annihilating the mediocre health of even the most careful of Maul players. While not feeling too much pressure from Maul's onslaught of attacks is Chewbacca's high health and two abilities dedicated to immobilizing, stunning, and knocking down overconfident lightsaber heroes. Well, that concludes it. All the tips and tricks to help you on your journey to finding your mains or just learning how to play. Obviously, I'm not the fountain of all knowledge, so if you hear some advice elsewhere that sounds good, give it a try. Secondly, simply using these techniques will not automatically make you esports material. Keep practicing, and as long as you do, I can guarantee you'll become an expert in whichever hero you main. It's not like anyone can see a KD ratio in-game anyways, so experiment! I hope these tips have helped, and if you'd like to have any other masterclasses in characters and factions, then you're gonna have to wait, because I only started this channel a couple of weeks ago, and I don't really have any videos. So subscribe if you want to support this channel. These first few subscribers really make a difference. What that does mean is that all my newly released content will be up to date with the meta, or mainly my personal meta. Not that anything will change, considering this game is never getting another update. Thanks EA. Anyways, on that note, see you next time. Hopefully.